questions from you now, because then we go round and we've only got about 12 minutes or something left before you have to go. So what we're going to do is, anybody who's filled in anything, leave them here, right? And we'll put them up on the web, or we'll sort them out one way or another. We'll get them to you just so you see a variety of different things. Right? What I want to do is this. I want to point out something we found and what we did with a player successfully. We did get something right? So, we made one. We made a full forward. To protect the innocent, his name has been changed. Joe was a midfielder, wing half forward. That's how he came up playing. He could win the ball, but tended to follow this up with head down, shoulder running. He's not the same person you just saw earlier on. Marafelt's full of shoulder running, even up and down the street. So they're there all over the place. He just loved the ball. But he tended to follow up a head down, shoulder running. Good fella, could win the ball, etc. We needed a full forward. So his coaches tried him as a full forward for a number of challenge games with specific instructions. So if I get this right, look, specific instructions. He got plenty of simple things told him. Now I know it's going through your head. Yeah, you told him. It didn't work because he didn't practice. But we thought we could fit him into a situation. It didn't work for a specific reason. And that was, Joe made his runs too early and found himself too far out the pitch by the time the ball came. So he was outside the 45 talking to midfielders by the time the ball came in over the pass. He made this incredible run, lost his marker, but you know, he was away there in July when he needed to be there going Christmas. He was just so far out. Now, literally, I'm not moving this all the way. They took up to 6 weeks to coach him how to time his runs and how to act before making these runs. Now, my point is, we're trying to improve a team by taking one player and doing something different with him. I'm advocating that if you do that, the knock-on effect can be huge with one player. Now, literally, and you may not believe this, but I was one of the guys, not in charge, but I was one of the guys who stood with Joe, with holding on to the back of his jersey not in challenge games, but in a backs and forwards exercise where we didn't have him marked and we had him in touch close to the end line going, no, go. That's no joke. If I had the fella here, he would tell you, no, go. He was amazed at how long you had to wait in that area before you made the break. He just could not understand it. Now, no amount of talking, telling him to find space or do this and that would ever have worked. We had to physically just hold him and say, and he's like a horse trying to get away from something. It was incredible, and then you just let him go. Now, he was obviously not going to stand in the one spot and go in a match. No. The guy was saying, I'm murdering. But he had to fill his time with something. So we worked on lateral running. So he literally stayed inside the 13 and he jogged across, keeping an eye on the play, and jogged across, keeping an eye on the play on his marker. And then when he just knew the ball was coming to a certain point, it went bang. He moved. He won us an under-16 championship on his own. He scored little or nothing in the under-16 championship. The play that came off him was amazing. Amazing. Where he just came out, took it, laid, bang, through. And he couldn't be marked. He was unmarkable. And in 6 weeks, he became unmarkable. And again, we got big heads. Because we walked away thinking, we must be the best coaches in Ireland. We're fantastic. Right? Wait for the 2 years then. So, we did that. I'm telling you, it's possible to take somebody and think one trait, change one trait one way or another and do it. So, next one. As far as I'm concerned, the older I get in coaching and all, the more I think attention to detail is huge. And it's fascinating. If you're interested in coaching, it is fascinating. So, another one, just anecdotal. We had a player, read this one. A player who caught the ball, landed, held possession well, tended to stop, shift from side to side, and kick the ball into the tackle. So we had your typical player who went, got it, won it really well, came down, faced with a defender or two, or an opponent or two, and did a sort of a wee quick feet movements, he made, like river dance, got nowhere, looked again, and the fellow was still there, right? And there's plenty of them about, right? And then, in a panic, kicked the ball through the tackle. Sometimes got it through, a lot of time got it blocked. It's not rocket science, we had to sort it. And one of the other coaches said, there's the answer. We worked on a simple idea of him coming down, and all that was in his head, was put in his head, was take 4 big, powerful strides. Down, 4 big steps into any area. Into any area. And that broke him out of confined space, made room to make the next playing decision. It changed his game. The knock-on effect, which we never imagined, the domino effect, which we never said, and this will help this, and this will help this. We never had that in our heads. We had, can we get him out of there? And we worked on 4 big strides. Now again, I'm trying to advocate this, make a change, make a difference to one player. That was a different player altogether. Again, this is a pity, right? We can't name the player, we can't name the manager. You may have seen him earlier today. A legend, right? But he's, I'll tell you, a legend. We hated them because they were from Batsmacher and we were from Prizes. But anyway, there's a guy working with me, John Heaney, from Glenavon. Would have been one of the great white hooks from Macara, etc. Hands on like shovels, played captain of the Hogan team that won, etc. But he's a character who would tell you different things, mostly lies. But sometimes he'll tell you the truth about the things they did before. And this is his story about this coach at Macara, who would take an average corner forward. There's plenty of us about. I was an average corner forward. Never been supposed to guess, so I just remained average and got worse. Right? But the average corner forward, who could take it off first, problem in the defence, what do we do? Corner forward. Also, when you were here. So, very quick aside, I swear to God, we won the championship in 1978, senior football championship in 1978, beat Banagher for 2 reasons. One, Jerry Walsh rugby tackled Jerry McElhinney the whole way through it for us, right? So we stopped him. And the other one was, they flew Mickey Niblock home from America to play for Marfeld and win the championship. What gam do you think had to leave the team to let Mickey Niblock? Yours truly. The only thing I was hoping was that they wouldn't ask me for his fare. Anyway, I sat on the bench, still got about it. What Adrian did, and what Heaney claims Adrian did, was he would take it forward and he'd go, right, forget about stifling anything. First attack, we have some. You go straight at the pitch. And then join the play. You mightn't touch the ball. Second attack, lateral run, join the play. Third attack, you've guessed it, diagonal run, join the play. No problem, Adrian. What will I do after that? Repeat, repeat, repeat. Do it again, again, again. He turned an average player into a decent player who found himself in positions which were much more important to the team. Sometimes to create space, the odd time to get the ball. Self-esteem, confidence went up. Remember he talked about, I'd rather look at things like making the number of catches and things. That was another thing he did. Go out and get 3 catches for him. The knock-on effect of changing one player. Now, what I want to put in. Maybe this is in your head now. Stop your stifling creativity. Stop this. You're making a very functional player, you're stifling his own creativity or her own creativity, which he alluded to as well. And Sean Boyle alluded to it this morning when he said about, you know, the David Baggies of this world do exist. And there are people like that. But unfortunately for every one of those, there are lots of other people who have limited creativity. You're looking at one. And I'll tell you why. Terence mentioned it before, and I'm not blowing one trumpet. This is right, that's a bit of a Freudian slip there. Because, look, in a former life, I was a drummer in a band, right? The band was this type of band, which you weren't assuming, right? Which was a Glenn Miller swing orchestra, right? Reason it was in it, my father was in it. He and all his mates came out of the show band era, the Miami and all those things, joined up and they made this Northern Swing big band with 5 trumpets, or 5 saxophones, 3 trumpets, etc. Typical big band, right? I was the drummer. Every guy there could read music except yours truly. I could read nothing but the piano. Nothing. And my father said to me, use your creativity. Your job is to keep time, which is the most important thing for a drummer, but you also have to fill the gaps. Maybe a bar and a half, maybe 2 bars, whatever. You fill the gaps. I recognise a fairly creative fella, not a bar. Right? No need for me to read music. 140 numbers in the library, right? And I was going to be creative with filling the gaps in them all. Was I a hell? Right? I'll tell you what I did. I did what most people do with limited creativity. they repeat themselves. So, if there was a gap and it demanded some particular good wee thing, I filled it with. You see, when that's going through your head 10 times and you're sitting as a musician in front, forget it. You want another drummer. I'm telling you, that was the limit of my creativity, and I'm saying players can be like that as well. Minton McGrath drummed for the band. He could read music, so somebody in America or England or somewhere else in the world had written the gaps, what they would do to be creative, had become his coach and said, change this, change that. He was much more creative than I was. Not because it was in his head, because it was there for him from another person. The coach who wrote it in America in Count Basie's band or something like that. You got it? So they were thinking, just be creative, just like we might just be creative as a player. It didn't work. What I'm saying is, you sometimes have to be that creativity for the player, more often than not. Now, take the opportunities. I'm going to finish on this. There's our starting quote. I was seldom able to see an opportunity until it ceased to be one. In other words, I and others like me missed that 19-year-old. We bowed down to him, let him go at 12 and 13, 14 because he was just class. And that was our club. And he was one of the ones won an All-Ireland failure for us. But we did him a disservice later on. We didn't change him. We still paid homage. Opportunities are never lost. Someone will take the one you missed. Another club took the one we missed. Another club just went through the roof. There's our 4 players. Club A, Club B, Club A, Club B. Remember the Club B ones? They go through the roof. Club A, we stand still, which really looks as if we're going down. We're doing something about it now. Club A, we're down in Ross Marfell. You want to tell me Club B?
Boundary.
Gary. What agreements there? Last point. What now? This is your club. If you go back as a result of something you've heard here today, not necessarily me, but somebody else, and you become that in your club, and that becomes your influence in your club, your input to your club as a result of coming here today, it was pointless coming. It was nice to get to dinner, it was nice to hear people and all the rest, but it was pointless. You've got to go back and take some ideas from some people you've heard today and become that. Thank you. Time for questions, so you all have to go.
Not that easy. Weren't you lucky, you people that got in there to hear creative coach? Doesn't think outside the box. He doesn't do the same what a lot of us do, just repeat the same thing over again and expect a different result. What do you call that? A lot of time. Take a couple of questions. Any questions on that?
Do you think it's possible to coach that behaviour out of a player? Because I think
it is.
every club here probably has.
I think it is, but you know something? I'm not going to label this. I think in every club there's a guy. Let's say I'm the boy who spotted the thing that's gone wrong, but I'm not the boy to correct it. In other words, my way of getting it across to somebody doesn't come across right. But in my club, it's a Tony Scullion. And I use him to put across. And that fellow loves Tony Scullion, but he's sending your message or my message out to him. Right? That's the one thing we did learn, because some of the boys just don't get on. You know, at times they don't, you know, the personality clash with the coach or something, but somebody in the club or somebody in the school you use for that. And we have got an odd person in the club, like maybe like a Scullion fellow, who you would do anything. As I said before, I've sort of left coaching behind for quite a while now, and Tony Scullion will pick up the phone and say, "Will you do something that children knows?" You just never turn them down. Get a man like that or a woman like that in your club to do that, and you'll change the Thran one. You might change yourself. Okay?
10-year-olds moving to 12-year-olds to 16-year-olds. How do you see that working, Philip? Is there something there, something simple evaluation that the under-10s could do without a big, theory thing, the 3 or 4 things? When they're handing them on to that, the under-12 knows what to do physically, technically, so they get to 14 and 16. Because if it's not happening and it doesn't happen, then that player won't improve up the line.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Terence. I haven't thought that out from that point of view, standing here. And see if I give an answer to that and said, I'd just be making it up. and you'd be saying, call them out at last, right? That would make enough. But if I sat down and you now put that in my head,